Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone.
What's going on?
It's been a weird day. Really
You got
weird
fished.
Day. Got fished today. What a weird day.
Luckily, we watch all those videos.
That's going to be a weird email that I have to send to this person to tell them that someone's impersonating them and texting me as them.
Somehow has your number. Yeah.
Somehow has my number, knows I know you, and is texting me from you, and then asking me to do things that are obviously things you wouldn't ask me to do.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
dirty.
Yeah.
Just,
No.
just like
Typical
go buy
fishing.
me things.
Yeah,
Go buy
exactly.
me things.
Exactly.
Anyway, whatever. Okay.
What if it was like, hey, Bram, it's Dan Quinn?
Yeah, right.
You're like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah. Hey, it's Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Could you go down to the local Bass Pro Shop and buy me a boat?
Yeah.
Like, no. Why?
It's Magic Johnson.
And then it just starts saying, I need you to do it quickly.
Yeah, right.
Quickly.
Right.
It has to happen really fast. It has to
yeah.
happen right now. Okay. All right. So that was my day today. I had someone
Impersonate someone.
impersonate somebody to ask me to buy them things today.
Yeah,
What a day.
like I said, luckily you watch all those videos.
I did. Thank you, Cumulus Media, for making me watch
Red
these.
flag, red flag.
That can't be right. Why would you ask me to do this?
Why are you asking me to do it so fast?
Right. Why is your email not in the English language? Like, why does this make any sense?
Why do I need to buy gift cards when you can buy them?
You can just go on Amazon.
On Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. What do you need me to buy them for you for? I know, it's weird. Anyway. But I mean, the way the first couple messages were posed, I thought it was this person.
Yeah,
just because they posed it very well. I'll give them credit. They got me initially to go, oh, this might actually be that person, and I don't know what they need help with. And then I know they don't need help with that.
There you go.
So, all right. Here's what I'd like to start with today.
Sure.
So here we are this time of year where people make a big deal out of people not showing up to practices. We don't have this issue here. We also don't have any prominent players that aren't under contract.
That's right.
So, that's part of it. Like, if you didn't show up to these OTAs, the one I'll be going to tomorrow or the ones last week, you did that because you just didn't feel like going. Like, it had nothing to do with, I'm trying to send a message to the team. Around the league, there were plenty of other prominent players, too, who didn't show up to the stuff down there. Oh, by the way, I saw something that said the joint practice this year, according to Mike McDaniel, is going to be against Miami.
Yes. Yep.
So that's going to be down there.
Yeah.
So they're going to go early practice. Thank you. Going to go practice in Miami. So I'm psyched, as you know. Psyched about that one. That's a nice development. Right team. Nice development. A little hot in August. A little hot down there.
I mean, it's still Miami. Like,
I know.
you're fine.
I know. I'm pretty
Quit
psyched
your
about
bitching.
that. Oh, I'm not. Trust me. I'm not complaining.
Oh, it's a little warm down there.
Not complaining. Not complaining. But I saw that. And I'm like, oh, the joint practice is at Miami. Wonderful.
What time?
Good
are
idea,
those gonna
guys.
be at?
I would bet in the morning.
Yeah. So
Because I have a feeling McDaniel isn't going out there at 3 o'clock either.
Right. Exactly.
Like, he's going to go, let's go out here when it's only 120% humidity and not 180.
Right.
Anyway, so around the league, Tua, and I mentioned Miami because Tua is one of them that didn't show up to some of them. I don't know if I haven't followed it closely enough if he has showed up, but obviously he wants to get a new contract, and we'll see what happens with that one. I think that's an intriguing one. But the one that I'm watching is the one that I kind of expected to happen the second Kirk left, which is Justin Jefferson has not come to the Vikings camp yet.
Right.
Justin Jefferson, when he does get a contract from whoever it may be, will be the biggest for any receiver in the NFL, right? And that may get topped by somebody else at some point, but it will be. It will top anybody else's to this point because he is that kind of player and he's next in line.
Yep.
Minnesota has either not offered it to him yet, or they're doing the dumb negotiation they were doing with Kirk, or maybe he doesn't want to sign one with them. I don't know. Like, who knows what's going on here, right? And then someone tweeted out that he was hanging out in New York near the Jets facility, which may or may not be true. And, does he want to go try to latch on with them, like try to jump on that board? And I was just thinking, I don't think that the Commanders are in a position to do anything like this that I'm about to mention because they've done nothing like this so far.
So you're going to make fun of me before the draft, and now you're going to say something after the draft.
I would say that now that the draft is past us and we're talking about draft picks next year and beyond, that I would make an argument, considering how much cap room we have, that he should be someone to target.
Okay.
Like, if Minnesota is not going to get a deal done with him, and I'm not saying they won't, and I don't know where it is, but he's doing the dance of, if you're not going to give me what I want, then I'm not going to show up to your stuff.
Sure.
And then how does he feel about Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy? Don't know. How does he feel about the rest of that team? Don't know.
Right.
Is he looking at the Bears going, this sucks? Like, I don't know. Green Bay looks like they've gotten better. Detroit's already good. Chicago might. There's a wild card of the season. They could be good.
Yep.
Like, we don't know. We don't know yet. Like, we're going to find out with them. He might be looking at this wisely, going, I might need to get out of here.
Right.
Like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't like what we've done so far at the most pertinent position. And oh, by the way, every time I hint that you're going to have to pay me $30+ million a year, I don't see any paperwork being sent to me. So if they're reluctant to do that, then the time is now for them to actually trade him before they get into a situation where they can't. And, just keep in mind, they just lost Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Like we did too. Didn't get anything for him.
Yep. Right.
Like second time that happened, that a prominent quarterback who makes market value did not get a return for the team that let him go because they played the string out too long for whatever reason. So I can't imagine. And they don't have to worry about it immediately because he does have another, year or two on his contract, but he clearly wants that rectified now. It will depend on how wonky he wants to be. But if you are going to trade him, you're going to do it sooner rather than later. And so this is the one time I was not on board with the Ayuk ones when people were talking about that. Like he might get traded. It sounds like San Francisco's turned the page on that, but it was either he or Samuel might get traded. I didn't want Debo because I think he's been too beat up. And I don't want to get, I think he's a great, great player, but I don't want to give up 25 to 30 million a year for a player that keeps getting hurt because of the way he plays. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. Ayuk doesn't have that problem, but I look at him and I think he's a really, really good player, but he's not a top 5 player. Yeah. I think we already have one of those guys in Terry McLaurin. I think it would make us a lot better with him, with the receiving core where it is, but I don't want to pay him more than McLaurin. I see them similarly.
Yeah.
That's not Justin Jefferson. Okay. I'm willing to look beyond all of that when you get to the P1 star stud game-changing type players, and he's one of them. And he's still very, very young. And I know he played with Burrow. Is there some kind of connection with Daniels because he played at LSU? I don't know. Only they would know the answer to that. Does he look at a team like ours and go, that's a team that's on the come, and maybe I'd want to be part of something like that? This is the first one I've seen. Because and I'm not even suggesting that this team is even thinking about doing it. But if they were going to take a swing, because they haven't, they've signed a lot of guys, but they haven't taken a swing on really bringing in a player to change the trajectory of the team. I would argue he's the one. Mm-hmm. If he's available, I would argue that he's the one. So that's where I would land today on. We still do have a ton of cap room. We still need another receiver. And the draft's gone by, so we've used all those draft assets now. We'd be dealing with giving up draft picks next year or the year beyond that, right? I don't know what the price would be, probably a first-round pick. But we got the money to pay him in the here and the near future because we don't have a lot of other players. So we've got the cap room to deal with it. We have our quarterback on a rookie. This is what you do. You have your quarterback on a rookie contract. You load up around them. Look what Houston did in the offseason. They loaded up around them. And maybe we're a year too soon because I think everybody wants to see where Jayden is for sure. Unlike, I think Houston loaded up because Stroud was so ahead of the curve that they were like, let's try. Let's just go for it because we're not trying to figure out if he's good yet. Yeah. I'm hopeful that, and maybe we're not there with Jayden yet, but there is part of me that goes, we have so much cap room, so much momentum, so much kind of goodwill in the space right now. Aura. I don't know. He's the first one whose name I've seen that clearly is unhappy with his situation. Yeah. And I would argue I would never argue trading someone of that talent level, but more and more in this league it happens. Tyreek Hill doesn't play for the Chiefs anymore. Devontae Adams doesn't play for Green Bay anymore. Sure. So I don't know. That's the one I would quietly be knocking on the door to go, are you guys thinking about trading him? Because if you are, we want to talk to you about it.
I mean, it would probably be multiple firsts, though, and change.
What did they get for Tyreek Hill?
It was I'm
going to look it up.
I would think it was 2 or 3 firsts. I want to say it was 2, bare minimum, for Tyreek Hill. And this roster, this.
1 first round. It was 5 draft picks, but only one of them was a 1.
Okay.
A first round pick, a second round pick, a fourth, and a 6th. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that.
I'm not far off to say the 4th, 4th, and 6th is being. I mean, that's a lot of draft capital,
right?
But you're getting lucky if you get somebody in the 4th round that's even remotely close to what he is.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would just want to know what the asking price is. He's the best wide receiver in football.
Yes, he is.
So I'm going to guess it's bare minimum 2 firsts.
The Raiders got Devontae Adams for a 1st and 2nd round pick.
Devontae Adams was not the best receiver in the league, though.
No, but he's up
10.
there.
He's top 10. I'm not disagreeing.
For
that
sure.
He's a really great player.
Really great player.
I'm saying it's bar none. He is Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league.
And
so.
he's, what is he, 25?
Right, exactly. And he's never slowed down, and he's played with Kirk the whole time.
This is just the first one that popped up, and I went, you know what? I would really actually look into that.
Yeah.
Because he's just kind of too good. Those guys don't come along that often. He is really young. Minnesota seems to be hell-bent on screwing it up.
Right.
Like, they ought to just make him happy and give him money.
I'm looking it up
Who
now.
else is on their roster that makes a lot of money now that Kirk's gone? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Like, they got a couple. They just paid a defensive end.
Right.
Because they let Hunter go.
Mm-hmm.
They replaced him with an expensive defensive end who hasn't played there.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Who else is on their team that makes a lot of money? Hawkinson.
Right.
Hawkinson makes a lot of money, but it's a tight end. He's not making $30 million a year.
Right.
Their offensive lineman, who on the offensive line makes a lot of money? Like, I don't even know. So they don't have big salaries.
Their biggest salary is tackle Brian O'Neill. He makes $22 million.
Okay.
After that, it's Jefferson. He's at $19 million right now.
Right.
Then it's Hawkinson at $14 million.
Right.
Then
So they don't. They
Brian
have
Murphy at $10 million.
Right. They have nobody on their team that is making the crazy sum of money.
Yep.
Therefore, why wouldn't they just make this guy happy? Because he is the best receiver in the NFL, or what, top 2 or 3? You can't get away from that. He's top 2 or 3. Well, why wouldn't you just make the guy happy and give him the money that he wants? They're not doing that.
Yeah.
So they already screwed up Cousins. In my opinion, I don't understand what they're doing with their roster. If I'm him, I'm looking I said it the second Cousins was gone, I'm like, that guy's going to ask for a trade. Because, he's going to be looking at this going, let me get this straight. I'm going to play out my last couple of years of my contract with either Darnold or McCarthy. And we're going to find out if either one of them's any good. And at that point, then you're going to pay me $32 million a year? And I'm not even sure that I'm on a good team?
Right.
No. And so I expect him to get real nasty if they don't give him an extension immediately. And considering they've shown no propensity to do that with anybody recently, this GM doesn't seem to want to do that at all, then I think he could be available. That's why I would call them. And I just think if you're going to take a swing with an obvious difference maker. It's him. It's him.
I was looking it up because I wanted to see what the McCaffrey trade was, because obviously Peters was in the front office when that happened. That was a second, third, and a fourth on that one. So I'm just saying they've swung for this before.
We haven't, this team hasn't done anything like that
second,
yet.
third, fourth, and a fifth. Sorry.
But this isn't out of Peters' wheelhouse. If you're looking at this going, well, they haven't done anything like that. Well, go look at what San Francisco did. Yeah. They went and got Trent Williams. They went and got Christian McCaffrey. They're not afraid to do things like this at all. They are willing to pay the price to get big-time players in here. Now, they also had a Super Bowl roster out there.
Yep.
And go, let's just get more players and bolster our Super Bowl roster. I don't think anybody here thinks that about this team. And we may be a couple years away before Peters goes, all right, let's go take the shot and make this. And I do feel like it is premature, but it is a weird opportunity. We got a lot of cap space.
Well, and
we have so much cap space, and we can handle it now where you eat a lot of it. You could even front load it, a lot of it and eat it now, because you could just do that. They got $50 million in cap space. If they gave him some kind of, I don't know, really large first-year salary, you could eat it then and get him on a semi-affordable number moving forward. It's just potentially an opportunity that is almost it's the first one I've seen where I'm like, go ahead.
The problem is, and this is I'm picking up what you're putting down. The problem is, two of their weaker positions are edge rusher and tackle, and you do not get a talent, Pentland starter outside of the first round.
I hear you,
hard
but
to find a good player like that.
I would say this in the case of McCaffrey with San Francisco.
Yeah.
They didn't have a bad running game.
Right. Correct.
There's nothing wrong with the running
McCaffrey,
game
they've said
at all.
Force multiplier is what
right. They're just
him.
they're just like,
he's going to be a beast.
We have a really good running game.
Yeah.
Mostert was really good.
Right.
Everybody they seem to put back there. It's like the Shanahan thing. Yeah. Everybody they put back there actually is productive. But then you put him back there, it changes everything.
Right.
And I've been saying this for a while. I think the receiving core is not as strong as it needs to be, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
And when it goes to need, it's not left tackle and it's not edge rusher. But there is a necessity for another major target.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't have to be this kind of major target, but he's available.
Right.
So who's going to get him? Somebody is. Mm-hmm. He's going to make somebody better. So I don't know.
I guess you could make the argument here too, though. Like, let's say, God forbid, Jayden doesn't work out either. He's still the number one wide receiver in the game.
That's right.
He could carry over in the next 2 to 3 years whenever you turn the page on Jayden, if that doesn't work out.
Obviously, I
don't want that to happen.
Of course not.
I'm just saying, though.
If it doesn't work out, then he is still a massively tradable piece, even at that age. Yep. Or secondarily, you go, hey, look, we've got this roster that we like because we built it up and he didn't work out. Let's go get our Kirk Cousins and try to win with it. And then you bring in a professional quarterback and you try to win with it.
Their Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins.
That's right. Their Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins.
Because he will be cut after 2 years
right. But
in Atlanta.
If for some reason, and I don't think this is going to, I mean, I hope this doesn't happen, but if this doesn't go well with Jayden, and I have no reason to believe it won't,
of course.
If it doesn't, what they're doing and what they're trying to build here is a really good roster where they could plop in their Jared Goff.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, look, they just kind of take off because they have a really good roster with a professional quarterback. If Jayden Daniels becomes everything we think it's going to be, then all he does is make us that much better.
Right.
So this is the one I've seen the whole offseason, because all the other free agents I went, you know what? I wouldn't make an argument to overspend for any of the guys. And I thought that they were aggressive, but very disciplined. I also haven't seen somebody like this. Like, Micah Parsons didn't show up to OTAs. Yep. I'm sure Dan Quinn would love to get him to come to Washington, but Dallas is not going to let him go. This is a different situation.
They ain't trading him here.
No, and Dallas always pays their guys. Right. Like, in the end, they do. Like, for better or worse. Yeah. They paid Dak. Like, they clearly didn't want to a couple of years ago, but they did it. Mm-hmm. And I have no reason to believe at all that they won't pay him. In fact, I think they'll preemptively do it because I think he's sending a message. His agent came out and said, this isn't about that, but of course it is. Right. Like, why else would he not show up, right? Of course. So he wants a new deal preemptively. I bet Jerry gives it to him. And I don't believe, like, Dallas has never shown they've never shied away from paying their stars. So, like, I don't think he's someone who's available. Minnesota's a different story. Minnesota is not showing the propensity to pay their stars. Look who their quarterback is right now. Like, look what happened with Dalvin Cook. Look what happened with Daniil Hunter. You know, like, they brought in TJ Hawkinson. It almost doesn't even make sense anymore because they're paying for a tight end, but they eradicated everybody. It was like they took on a contract that someone else gave them. They never gave it to them.
That's right. Yep.
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't really understand their planning. And it does feel like on some level they're scared to give somebody $30 million a year. Jerry isn't, which is why Micah Parsons, unless he tells the Cowboys he doesn't want to play for them, will be there for sure. And I assume that in the end, he doesn't really want to go anywhere else.
Right.
The star on the helmet still means something.
Of course. Yeah. That podcast isn't nearly as big as it is if he's playing for any other team.
I mean, you want to go, like, the Bills are a better team. You want to go play with them? Right. No, you don't. You don't really want to do that. You do that when they don't want you anymore.
That's right.
You don't do that now.
Right.
And so he's different. Like, I'm sure Dan Quinn would love to recruit Micah Parsons to come and want to play here. Dallas would never trade him here, right? But I also know that they're not the type of team that shies away from paying their stars, and therefore, no matter how acrimonious it gets, I know in the end they'll sign him. Yep. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. He didn't show up to their OTAs either. There's no part of me that goes, oh, we could probably get him. They signed their stars, so they're going to do it. Minnesota has a history of not doing it.
Right.
And at least recent history. And that's why I'm like, if they're so put off by paying somebody the kind of money that's just the going rate for being the best at their position, well, we're not there. And we also, fortunately, haven't done anything that's hamstrung us from making a move like this if it were available at the right time.
Right.
Now, does Jefferson kind of earmark where he wants to go? Maybe.
Right. Correct.
What is the deal that Minnesota gets back? I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know.
The quote-unquote benefit, though, is you do have to pay him, and we know in this league that is worth something because you don't get the 3 to 4 first-round picks that they probably should warrant. But
plus, like, for this front office, they've been very careful about throwing money around. They haven't given anybody anything.
And term.
Term and salary. Yeah. Like, they haven't done anything that's market value of anybody of the highest market value. Mm-hmm. If their first one is this, I don't think anyone's going to complain about it.
I agree.
Because they're going to look at it and go, well, he is the best receiver in the NFL, or he's one of the 2 or 3 best receivers in the NFL, and he does make us a lot better. And Boy, that Jayden Daniels is going to be happy about that one, isn't he?
Right.
Like Jefferson, McLaurin, Dotson. Let's go.
Right. And
let's go.
And the backfield and the tight ends.
Let's go.
And
Let's go. So are we there to do that? Probably not. Are they thinking about taking these swings? Probably not. They've shown that. They've shown a lot of discipline throughout this point. But this is the one that I saw this week. When I saw he didn't show up, and there's all these rumors about where he is, and we all know why. Mm-hmm. If there was a swing in them this offseason, which I don't think there is, but if there was, for me, it would be him. That would be the one.
I'm going to guess if you asked Magic Johnson if you wanted Jefferson on this team, he would be all in on that one.
All in for week one on that one. We're all in for week one on that one.
Come on, man. 12 years ago. Let it go. 11 years ago.
Here, I'll give you another example. T. Higgins is in a contract squabble with the Bengals. He did not show up to their OTAs. I'm not suggesting we do this for him.
No.
And I think he's a very good player. But if we're going to do this, it's for a number one home run.
Yeah.
Higgins could come here and be the number 2.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not paying him $25 million a year to do that.
Right.
I already have that guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, I hope number 1 is that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I already have that. So I'm not suggesting just do it to do it. I'm saying if there's a softball getting thrown over the plate, hit it out of the park, that's Justin Jefferson. It's not T. Higgins. So I'm not advocating just do it to do it.
Yeah.
I'm advocating for the exact specific person. And I think Jefferson, I don't even think it's arguable, is that. Whoever gets him gets way better overnight.
Of course.
Overnight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Higgins may or may not make you a lot. He's a really good professional receiver. He may not make you that much better overnight. Jefferson, different story. He does. He does.
Let's just let's do your bit here. Bills just traded Diggs.
Yeah.
They're not going to trade for him because they're also in cap hell, right? Aren't they? Do they have all these crazy
I think
deals?
they're resetting, but I have a feeling people like Kansas City and Buffalo are going to find the money if this person's available.
Dolphins aren't going to do it. They're paying Tyreek and gave up draft picks.
I don't think they can do it. I think they're the one that can't do it.
Patriots,
unless they were giving Waddle back, then they could do that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Patriots ain't doing it.
No.
Jets.
Yeah, that's. I think like some.
That's one.
Yeah, I think.
They figure it out.
Load up.
Yeah,
they're in the load up. Like, just do what you got to do to get the best team out there possible. We got to win right now while Rodgers is still healthy.
It's not a Ravens move. Ravens have basically never ever done that.
They haven't, but
they just drafted a wide receiver.
They could feel the pressure.
I don't see them doing that though. That's never been their case. Like they just never done that. Bengals, they're not doing it.
No, they already paid. They can't not paying Higgins, and they already paid Chase.
Right, so that's
not happening.
Browns ain't happening because they are also spending a bunch of money on Deshaun and
if they could
Cooper
get
and.
I don't know. I think they would, actually.
All right.
I would argue that
they might
would
figure
try.
it out. But
yes.
Okay. Steelers ain't doing it. They don't ever do that.
That would be unusual for them.
They don't
to
ever
do something like that.
They don't pay any wide receivers. They just draft them.
No, they just draft
They have
them.
the formula. They have the algorithm.
But I would argue, again, this guy's different. That's the point. This guy's different.
But Pittsburgh's never done that. Ever.
Right.
Ever. Houston, they're not doing it because they just got Diggs and they've already kind of set their pieces in place, right?
It's not Indy either.
No.
Indy just re-signed Pittman and just drafted a receiver.
Yep.
So that's not happening.
Jacksonville?
Maybe.
I could see that
They're
happening.
a big maybe.
But does he want to go there? I actually think that's a no for him.
Probably not. But that could be that team would be one to watch.
Sure.
Like they've been very active in the past in free agency. They're not shy about paying the going rate.
Yeah.
I think that they would be someone that probably would think about it.
Titans, I'm going no. They could try, but I don't think he's going there.
I don't think they would be uninterested. I don't know why he'd want to go there. Right.
Exactly. So the only one in
not
the AFC.
Not that matters, but like I don't know why he'd want to go there.
So the only ones really in the AFC. Oh, sorry. And then there's the West.
The Chiefs would do it in a second if they
Chiefs
could get
would
him.
do it if they
in
could
a second
find it.
if they could get him.
Broncos literally can't.
No, they can't.
Raiders aren't because they have Adams.
Correct.
Chargers aren't because they just had to cut their wide receivers because they're out of money.
They wouldn't do it either.
That basically leaves the Chiefs, Jags. You said Browns, possibly Ravens, Jets.
Yeah.
And none of those are definitive by any means. You'd have to figure it out with a couple of them.
Right.
Then in the NFC, Cowboys can't do it.
Why not?
They're out of cap. I mean, they don't have any cap
If you move, like you send back Brandon Cooks and you send back probably another player or two off the roster, you could do it.
You'd have to sign Dak. You'd have to lower that number now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I
probably.
I don't see the Cowboys doing that.
Yeah.
When's the last time the Cowboys traded their first round pick?
Oh, they don't ever do things like that.
So I'm going no on that one, actually.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm going no on Cowboys. Giants, I think, are intriguing. I think
Giants would do it.
I would absolutely
And
think
probably
they'd be-
say, we'll do it. You and neighbors.
Yep.
They would probably try that.
So,
and then he goes, Danny Dimes.
But it's New York,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like you just
It won't be Philly.
Can't be Philly.
Won't be Philly.
Literally can't be Philly.
No.
Could be us. Bears aren't going to do it because
No.
Bears.
They're not
locked up-
trading him to anybody in that division.
Oh,
Period.
yeah, okay, all right.
So
yeah,
just, you
skip
cancel that out.
Skip
Skip
the
the North. They won't trade him in that division.
Falcons aren't going to do it. I think they have all these skill position players, and
That'd be interesting now because Kirk would probably advocate to do it.
sure,
And
but
it could be one of those, listen, he's going to make us 8 million times better. They also don't have a lot of big contracts on that team.
okay.
Very few. But Kirk is a big one. But then Drake London rookie contract, Bijan Robinson rookie contract, Kyle Pitts still rookie contract.
So
they
that's
gave a couple of their linemen big numbers
Yep.
on offense. They don't have big numbers on defense either.
Yep.
They actually, I bet their cap is not too terrible. It's different now with Kirk's number, but I bet they could. I bet you they could figure that
Okay,
out.
they could try it, and
Yeah.
Atlanta's probably a desirable destination
Probably.
maybe for him.
Yep.
Panthers, no way he's going there. I don't think there's a chance he's going there. I think they could try, but I don't think he's
yeah,
going.
I don't.
Saints, they're always in cap hell, so I don't know how they
Of
would
course,
do
the
it.
Panthers might give him $40 million a year, and then
but, okay, fair enough. They can negotiate
Maybe.
their way into it, maybe.
they
But,
might go full the Deshaun route of what does he want
right okay.
to get him to be happy to
Fine.
go here.
Fine on
Yeah.
that one. Saints, I don't see it. They're like always up against it.
They're always up against it, but they have made a lot of adjustments over the last year. So,
Okay.
and they're very aggressive. So I really wouldn't totally be shocked.
Okay, Bucks.
And
I don't-
Olave is on a rookie contract, so it's not like
Sure.
his number's coming up. And he's got 3 more years before his number comes up.
Right. Bucks, I wouldn't see it happening.
No, they
either.
just re-signed Mike Evans.
Yeah, so that's
not
happening.
happening. No.
And paid Baker, so
Yes.
that's not happening. West, Cardinals, I don't see him wanting to go there, but I guess
They just drafted Marvin
Possibility.
Harrison. That's a heck of a tandem to have him and Harrison. So, but again, they're another one. Kyler's a big number. Who else gets a big number on that team? Buda Baker. That's about it.
oh my god, their wide receivers are so unimpressive.
Yes. So actually, I think the Cardinals would probably have significant.
Do you know their
interest in
two
him.
other starting wide receivers?
Who?
Michael Wilson and Zay Jones.
You know, the other thing with them is they keep trading.
That's
so they have a
true.
lot. They got a lot of. I bet they have a lot of draft capital next year already.
Okay, I think that's
So
a
I would buy.
possibility.
I would buy them as a possibility.
He'd have to
for
want
sure.
to go to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
though. So okay, there's that one.
Does he play Call of Duty?
Come on, bro. Cardinals, Rams. I don't see happening. They've kind of slowed their ways
Sure,
on that.
McVay would love him.
He would love
but,
to, but they actually have 2 legit wide receivers. I
They
don't
got
see them doing
studs.
that. Yeah,
They
and they're
got
cheap.
studs.
They're cheap too.
yeah, they got studs.
Niners. I guess you don't rule it out, but they've got 2 wide
They would-
receivers already. So
Okay, they'd have to trade Ayuk back.
yes, correct, exactly.
That's what would end up
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
He'd go back.
Yeah,
and why, at that point, I would say to Minnesota, why?
Yeah, right.
You're paying him the same amount.
right. That
So
doesn't-
why would you be doing that?
doesn't do anything there. And then there's
No.
Seattle, which I don't see happening either. They're paying Metcalf, and I just don't see them giving up the draft capital again to have another wide receiver.
You know,
on that
this
side.
would go back to if there was actual interest in doing it and they want players, like this would go back to that would be the point at which Washington probably dangles the John Allens of the world.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Someone else on the other side of the ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I read some stuff like people were like, oh, they're looking at trading him. I don't think so, actually. I haven't gotten that sense whatsoever.
Yep.
That's not the information I've gotten at all. Like all that stuff that happened late last season and into the offseason had been settled a long time ago. And people I had talked to out there said he's very locked in,
Yeah.
and they're very locked in on him for this year. We'll see beyond this year
Sure.
because his contract, nothing's guaranteed left, and we'll have to see beyond this year. But I think, one, they don't have anybody better than him for sure.
That's right.
Two, like I think Quinn likes him, like genuinely, in
Yeah.
the interactions I've had. And three, like if he gets back to his form of 2 years ago, why wouldn't you want him on the team?
Of course.
But you know, again, this is where things could change.
Right.
You know, do you want to give up, like a first round pick and a second round pick, or do you want to give up John Allen in a second round pick? Well,
Right.
that's an interesting conversation.
Sure.
You know, if these are all stupid ifs. We're doing stupid ifs right now, but I don't know. They're weird. He wants big money. For some reason, they won't just give it to him.
Yep.
They're not paying anybody else right now.
right.
So why wouldn't you just make him happy? They're not doing it. He's now not showing up to OTAs. We got a lot of cap room. Haven't taken a swing yet. Let's aura this thing. Aura it out.
If I prediction here, if I'm the Vikings, I am leaking that the Giants and Commanders are both interested, and then all of a sudden you're getting them bidding against each other because you're like, I don't want to play that guy 2 times a year.
Right. Well, if you actually open the door to we're willing to trade him, I think the bids would be pretty high.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a lot of it. You'll get a tremendous amount of
I think
interest.
you'd get everybody who drafted. I think you'd get not the Bears. I think you'd get everyone who drafted a quarterback. Obviously not them included, but everyone that drafted a quarterback trying to trade for him.
Yeah, I think so. That could include the Patriots. They don't have any receivers.
Yeah.
That could include them too.
Right.
All right, let me take a quick break. Bram Wants to Show. He's at 6:30 at Sports Capital. Conference finals begin tonight. I'm going to play a clip from the Timberwolves presser from yesterday, which was maybe my favorite clip. I don't even know if you can play it.
I don't think I can.
There's too many.
Because I think I did click on it.
Can we play on it? Play it the next segment because
Yeah,
you're going to have
give
to
me a
bleep a
second.
couple
Yeah,
things
yeah,
out.
okay.
All right, Boston, Indiana, game 1. Number of people have kind of landed, I think, where we landed. The coverage of it has suddenly shifted to, I don't know. Maybe this is not like a walkover for Boston. It's been a little too easy for them.
We were talking yesterday about that.
Yeah. A lot of people I saw were all of a sudden going, maybe we should have been paying a little closer attention to this. And everybody's been kind of knocking Boston along the way going, you guys don't look like champions.
Right.
I know
Exactly.
you're winning and all, but you don't look the part.
Right.
And here comes this team that's got a very deep bench that's very well coached, has a couple of stars, and can score a ton. So if the stage isn't too big for them, and Boston's lost, it's 2 home games, right, in the playoffs so far?
Yep.
Like the 2 losses they had were home games. They got blown out both times. It only takes one.
Right.
It only takes one, and then all of a sudden, things are a little turned upside down. All the pressure's on them, literally.
Oh, of course.
All the pressure's on them.
They're the favorites.
They're the ones that have been very close and haven't won. They keep getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals. They keep losing.
Right.
So they're the ones that have all the pressure. The whole story is not. It's either going to be they won and they were supposed to, or they lost and they choked.
Right.
So they have to live in that world.
Right.
Even though Indiana might be across the board a deeper team, they don't have the star power.
Right.
But on any given night, Halliburton can score with either one of those other two. The question is, can he do it consistently? I don't know. I don't want to fall into a trap. I bet this is almost too easy. Boston's going to win, but I don't think it's. And you're just overthinking it because they've had it too easy. What happens if they lock in and play their best? They ought to win.
Sure. I think I'll play off of what Hembo was saying this morning with Carini. He was saying, is there a team that's less fit that if Tatum has a bad night to actually survive?
Yeah.
They're not.
They look vulnerable for the record that they have.
Right.
For the experience that
Exactly.
they have and the record that they have, they look vulnerable.
Like the other
to
night,
me.
Minnesota, for example, like Ant wasn't having a good game, and they survived it and then had to come back and beat them in
that
Game 7.
team, they play like they want to rip your heart out.
Correct.
Boston doesn't play that way.
Agree. Exactly. And so
Boston plays like we know we're better than you, and if we play this straight up, we'll be fine.
Right.
And they've been fortunate. Their road has been ridiculously easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like way too easy. It's funny, the opponents they got would suggest it wasn't easy, but the conditions made them easy.
Yes.
They got lucky. Both teams were without their star for the entirety or a good portion of a series. That's over.
Yep. Right.
And as it turns out, Cleveland was a clown show.
Yeah.
As reported since. Like it was an utter everybody hates everybody situation.
Yep. Right.
And that never ends up working.
Of course. Exactly.
Now that everybody is starting to pick Indiana, I'm going back to Boston. Because it's just once the crowd goes the other way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a horse racing fan. I like picking the outsider, especially when it looks like a real long shot that's being underrated. Now that they saw Indiana do what they did in the Garden, and Boston just kind of sleepwalk their way through a first couple of series, I think people are not looking at this maybe correctly. I do think that this is not a short series. I think Indiana scores too much. And so there will be a game or two that might get away from Boston like
Sure.
it did in the other couple series. This is not a sweep. It's probably not 5. If it gets to 7, it's going to get tight for sure. And they've already proven they can win in a very tough building.
Mm-hmm.
I think Halliburton's a killer. Like you're seeing that in real time.
Yep.
I think he loves when Reggie Miller calls his games because he gets to look at him and point at him and do the whole thing. They also, this would be first time in what? Pacers never, did they make the finals? I don't know if they ever did.
Let me look it up.
They had
Hold on.
great teams with Reggie Miller. They kept getting beat in the playoffs by either the Knicks.
One time
they did make the finals once
in
and lost to the
99,
Lakers.
2000, they were eliminated by the Bucks.
In the final. They got to the finals?
Oh, no, sorry. They eliminated the Bucks, the 76ers, and Knicks.
And lost
then
the
they
Lakers?
lost the Lakers.
Lost
Yep,
to the
yep,
Lakers.
exactly.
So that was
yeah.
one of the Kobe Shaq championships.
exactly.
Beat them. Ooh. I'm going to pick Boston here in either 6 or 7. I don't think this is but I see the path like everybody else.
Yep.
And I think everybody's going off of recency, which is look at how they're playing. Look at how much mental fortitude they have. Everybody knew at the beginning of that series they were getting screwed by the refs early. Or otherwise, this series might not even extended that long. Boston's had too easy of a road, and when they've won the games, they don't look the part whatsoever, and Porzingis is hurt. I'll hear out all of the scenarios, but I'm going to pick Boston in 6.
Yeah, I said Boston in 6 yesterday. I'm going to stick with that. I just think Hembo's right that if Tatum has a bad night, that's the team that can't survive their star having a bad night. I don't see him doing it enough times, though, to lose the series. That's the thing here.
I agree.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday, too, now that the Knicks season's in the past, and there was the coverage of Game 7 was biased isn't even a word for it. It was just so much Knicks narratives, pep talks for the Knicks, like almost an openly rooting for them, almost like wanting them to win, which was weird. And Dan Patrick went on his show, and I agree with his sentiment about it. He said this, and I felt like it was. I want to read it because he said it, because he to me is legend of ESPN.
Sure.
And when he says it, I think it carries a lot of weight. Yeah, it doesn't work for them now, but still. He said this. The Pacers did play in the game. I just want to let ESPN know that. If you want to buy into an East Coast bias, you have every reason to buy into ESPN's East Coast bias watching that game. How about some impartiality here? I was embarrassed for the network because it felt like it was all about the Knicks. Even at halftime, it was about the Knicks. The Pacers aren't exciting. I get it. No big names, not a sexy team, but you still have to cover the game. You've got to be fair. I don't need a Stephen A. Smith arrival video. I don't need a pep talk with him and Spike Lee. He doesn't work for the Knicks. He works for ESPN. And see, like, it carries a lot of weight because he's saying it. I could say that until I'm blue in the face. He's a legend of ESPN. I'm a part of their history. He's a legend of ESPN. Exactly. Like, him saying it, and it's exactly how I felt about it watching it. They embarrassed themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, this is, like, what are we doing here? Like, these two franchises have been around forever. It's the NBA. Nobody's bigger than anybody else. Like, aren't we past that at this point? And this is, Steve A. Smith's older than me, I think. This is a 55, 60-year-old man acting like he's 10 years old. And then for ESPN to do the glamour shot of him walking into the stadium as if he's the biggest star on the court over Halliburton or Rick Carlisle or Miles Turner, or like, pick anybody.
Yeah. Pick
anybody on that other team, and it should be the bigger deal. I talk about this all the time in calling games. I never want to be the story. Right. I never want to make it about myself. I mean, I get that I'm the voice of it, and you're going to hear my voice tell that story. And so by proxy, I am automatically kind of part of it. But you're never going to hear me make myself part of it. Never. And they put their biggest pundit in the star position over the players in the game.
Yep. Right.
And of course, he loves every second of it.
I think
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it deserves all the criticism that it's getting. It's just ridiculous the way they treated this.
To me, you know what it looked like after I was thinking about it yesterday after we talked about it on the show? It almost reminded me of like some other producer at ESPN sees what McAfee does. What McAfee does on a daily basis, they decided...
This isn't wrestling, though.
Right, correct.
Like, when he's there and he's part of the story, he's scripted into the story.
Right.
This is real life.
What I think, though, is what I'm getting at is, McAfee goes on his show every day and yells and screams and, cusses sometimes or whatever. And I think somebody said, oh, Stephen A., you should try to do, like, a little bit of what Pat does and be kind of extreme.
That's what it seems like some of this is.
But Pat has never been on a playoff NFL game pregame set screaming about the Colts, right? Like he's always in character for his show, essentially. Is really what it
or
is.
even like the best thing he did on game day this year is when he trolled the Georgia fans.
Yes, correct. Even then,
trolled the Georgia
that was
fans.
in an afternoon. It wasn't like
and it was on college game day, not the actual game.
Correct.
He
Exactly.
trolled them.
Right.
It was about both teams. Actually, he trolled them to get to his point about why he was picking Alabama in that game. Like, I have yet to see him go full on. Like, what if he, during Monday Night Countdown, came on and was doing Colts pep talks with Peyton Manning as if whoever they were playing that night didn't exist?
Right. Well,
because that's what happened here.
Well, that's the funny thing, though. You and I know that if that happened on Monday Night Countdown, if the Colts were playing the Jaguars, they would go to him doing a Colts thing, and they'd bring someone else in from the Jags to do the same thing, because we know that that's how that broadcast actually works.
Or they'd have him interview Trevor Lawrence, and it'd be funny on some level.
Exactly.
Right? Like
exactly.
But they would balance it because it's an NFL game. It's like they lost sight of this is an NBA game between two teams.
Right.
It's not like the big guys versus the little guys. Like Indiana plays for some other league.
Right.
Like that's how they acted.
Right.
Indiana plays for some other league. And I'm sorry. Like, I love Stephen A. He's a big star. I'm not denying that. Nobody's denying that. But to put yourself in the position of trying to place yourself on the level of the players in the game is a level of ego and hubris that is outrageous. And the fact that the directors and the producers complied with that and went along with it is so nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that it was the actual feed, not the alt feed, too. Like, that's the other part of it.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was glad Dan said it because I was like, that's exactly what I want to say. And I need someone who's got the gravitas to say it, to be like, you should be embarrassed of yourself. Who are you? You're ESPN. You're not NixHub.com. You're not BingBong.com. Like, what are we doing?
What I actually think should have done, now that I'm just saying it out loud, is they should have actually had McAfee on too.
Yes.
Because McAfee's a Pacers guy.
They should have.
And that way you could have had your two biggest personalities go up against each other.
It still would have been clownish.
But at least you have both sides.
Yeah, at least he's got on a Reggie Miller jersey or something, or he's pulling full Indiana.
Yes.
And to your point, they should have done that.
Right. They should have been sitting next to each other.
If you really want, but probably Stephen A. won't do that, he's threatened by him.
Yeah,
so he needs to do more things to prove he's still the bigger star. When nobody cares.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We love you both.
Yeah. You go, both great. Both great. All right, be right back. Bram Western Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, we can now play the soundbite. Well, on the podcast, you're like, what'd you have to bleep it for? And we're still on AM radio.
That's
though.
right.
Believe
Correct.
it, that does exist.
Yeah.
And you can hear this live, actually. For many of you, I probably should remind people often. This actually does air live.
That's right. Yes.
It is currently 3:50 right now.
Well, I think
on
they know,
a Tuesday.
I think people know that it's live because you do scoreboard updates sometimes.
Oh, that's right.
So,
You're probably that happened 8 hours ago.
Right.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
This actually needs no introduction. All that you need to know is at a press conference with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, my new favorite odd couple of the NBA, they've got quite a routine. This question was asked.
This is for either one of you guys. And usually in NBA history, it says you have to lose and lose big before you win. What is it about this team that says
we lost last year?
Yeah, but that's different. You have to lose at a bigger stage. Usually, teams usually.
It's the playoffs. We lost last year.
We lost the last 2 years.
God, how much more we gotta lose?
Yeah, how much you want us to lose?
Been losing for 20 years.
I mean, that's just the truth, dog.
God.
How much do you want us to lose is maybe one of my favorite lines ever. That's a good T-shirt.
Years.
How much do you want us to lose?
Like, I don't know about you.
Losing for 20 years.
When I heard that, I was like, man, these guys as a Wizards fan, like, they're tugging at my heartstrings. I'm like, I hope if the Wizards ever get good, they react that way, too. When someone goes, oh, you got to lose big, right? They're like, we've sucked forever except for 79, right? Like,
they're in the Western Conference Finals. The Wizards have not gotten to the conference finals since the late 70s. It's almost like impossible.
Correct. Yes, you can fall into that usually. Just one run.
Indiana's having a year that people are going, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, right.
The Hawks made it a couple of years ago, and we thought Trae Young's taken off superstar. They haven't done anything since. So they fell it. They had one crazy run. He had one crazy playoffs, and they got into the Eastern Conference Finals and then lost.
Right. The Pistons won with the roster, like the least impressive roster ever, and won a championship with it.
Dallas is in it right now, and nobody would have picked them at the beginning of the season to be in the Western Conference Finals. Nobody would have picked them.
Right, exactly.
We can't even just fall into one of them.
Of course not.
We
No
got
way.
we got a game away from it that
Right.
one year with
Yeah,
John and Brad,
John
Game
broke his
7,
hand. Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah, right.
No, that's not the one he broke
sorry.
his hand.
You're talking about the Atlanta. I was talking about the Atlanta.
The Atlanta
series,
one,
yeah.
no, the Atlanta one they lost in the first round because of
Second round.
second round.
Yeah, second round.
And then the Boston year they were healthy.
Yeah,
and
right.
they lost in Game 7.
Funeral game.
Funeral year.
Yeah, not so fast.
Most fun Wizards team we've had,
Yes.
other than Gilbert.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
We had one or two great years with C-Web.
right.
That was fun. We had a couple of like greatest years of my life with Gilbert.
Gilbert. Yep.
Right. And then we had that year, Death Row DC. That was the most fun Wall team, by far not close.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
And even that was a meteor that just drifted away.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we went from Wolf season to Wizards. Bro.
Everybody loves Brad.
Everybody loves Brad. You know, everybody loves Brad. I'm so glad he got swept. It just
Oh, I'm
It's
glad
just-
I'm glad you're kind of getting on board with this. I think I was always the hater.
finally.
You
all
just
right.
weren't enough of a hater for
Anyway,
my liking.
I love that quote. How much do you want us to lose?
Lose
We've
for
been
20
losing for 20 years. All right, I love the question. Normally, you have to go farther. He's like, we're losing in the playoffs.
Yeah,
what do you
right,
want from us?
Right, exactly.
So it matters where we lose now? Like, what are you talking about? That is a dumb question. And the guy wouldn't back off either.
Yeah,
He's
John-
like, no, this is the way it goes.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean this is the way
No,
it goes?
Stop it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
My favorite was on that note, because it was just a dumb question. There was one of those NBA accounts that was like, look at Kyrie, like 7 years between conference finals appearances.
Yeah.
Like stay on that grind. And like someone treated it with, if there's anything Kyrie hasn't done is grind.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
guy just got distracted doing stupid stuff
That's
off the
right.
court and now has refocused on basketball
That's right.
again. And hey, gee, the guy who has like some of the
He
best
had some other interests for a while.
Hey, gee, the guy that has like some of the best handles in the league figured out he has the handles again. Like,
Yeah. He was an alternative academic for a while.
right.
He was a pundit against normal society.
suggesting certain reading
Yeah.
suggestions where,
Yeah.
ooh.
He was wondering where we were in the planetary system for a while. He
Right,
was just
yes.
busy. That's all. He was busy.
Right.
And then, now he's come around and he got bored in Dallas and he likes basketball again. That's all.
Shocker, he stopped talking about those things and he got better at
Yeah.
basketball again.
Interesting. Yeah,
Interesting how that
interesting.
works
Yeah.
out.
Weird. This was a great one, too. Have you seen this interview with the former referee, Bill Spooner,
No, haven't seen
who
this.
spoke to The Athletic
Okay.
and was asked a question that a lot of referees get all the time? And he said, and he prefaced it by saying, I'm going to tell you, and I know you're recording me, but I get asked this all the time. Who are some of the tough guys and who are some of the bad guys? And when I tell them that Chris Paul, in my 32 years in the league, was one of the biggest a-holes I've ever dealt with, they say, not Rasheed Wallace or da-da-da. Nope, nothing like Chris Paul.
I'm not shocked about that. I'm not shocked about
He
that.
goes, and then they say to me, oh, he seems like such a nice guy. And I say, yeah, he's a great image cultivator.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'm not
He's
surprised.
not the first ref.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that one.
What is he saying to people?
Yeah, I don't know.
Considering he moves around the league so much, it's so obvious.
He moves
Remember
around the league?
Warriors, too. The Warriors accepted Kevin Durant open arms and were like, come on down. And he would be, at the time, arguably, he's on the same level as Steph. So,
Yeah.
like to actually, I was like, that's amazing that they're open to that happening.
Yeah.
The second Chris Paul was going there, they were like, nope.
Yeah, right.
And then they had to live with it.
Yeah,
And they were
right.
like, nope, we don't want that.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't like that.
No, I'm not
And
surprised.
he's been on 50 teams. Gee, and he's so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
I'm not surprised at that mainly because who's always the last guy standing with him too.
Right.
Like it wasn't in Phoenix because they had Booker, but like he was the last guy standing in LA with the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that facilitated everything in New Orleans. Like he's always the guy, like kind of LeBron-esque,
Mm-hmm.
blaming everyone or shipping everyone off. Yeah, I'm not surprised at that.
But he's got that look on his face that you like him.
We've all.
He looks like a nice guy. He does. He looks like a nice guy.
I don't want to
He's like Phil Mickelson. He looks like a nice guy. It's hard to believe that he would be the guy who's going to go side with Saudi Arabia. It's just hard. If you were going to pick
Scary
anybody out,
MFers.
if you're going to pick anybody out of the lineup and go, that's the guy who's going to stand with Saudi Arabia, you wouldn't pick him first.
I
Like
don't,
he would not be the first choice.
I don't want to piss off people, a certain sect of people, but you've played pickup games in sports, and there's always one short guy that takes it way too seriously and is just inherently angry.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Chris Paul.
Yeah,
Shortest
maybe.
guy on the court and just is barking the whole time.
I guess we're finding it out. But all evidence was there that it's probably the case anyway. Like, does it come out as that much? Like, when you're that good and you're a Hall of Famer and you're on that many teams, and not many people talk about what a great teammate you are.
Correct. And you've only been on to one finals team, right? It was the Suns team, right? I think that was it. That Suns team was it.
Yeah.
Because remember, that was the whole thing. Like, if he wins this, he finally gets the ring. And
like, he's been on he was on the Lob City teams. Yep. They didn't get there.
They never got there, yeah.
Yeah, one of them was in the playoffs was Donald Sterling. Which was
get a mulligan on that. You get a mulligan on that.
Tell
That's
the
fine.
whole story.
Refusing to play. Remember they refused to play.
I don't blame them.
Yeah,
that was crazy. I don't blame them. They have their owner on tape saying racist stuff. It's crazy.
We talked about that. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No, but I'm gonna watch that.
Oh my God, you haven't?
No, it's gonna be amazing.
It's
right?
Who's producing it? It's
Did his wife talk in it?
No. It's like a reenactment. It's like Winning Time.
Oh, no. They did like a dramatization of it?
Oh, my God. It looks
Who's
amazing.
Donald Sterling?
It's, hold on. I got to look this up because it's someone crazy is producing it. It's a mini series. It's called Clipped. Okay? It comes out this year. It's a mini series. It's going to be on FX, I think. And, I don't know who Sterling is. Who is Sterling? I got to look this up. Sterling. Doc Rivers is Lawrence Fishburne, by the way.
Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah. Ed O'Neill is Donald Sterling.
Ed O'Neill is Donald Sterling?
Yes.
Ed O'Neill is Married with Children and Modern Family.
Yes, exactly.
He's great.
And all these players are being played too. Jared Dudley, Ty Lue, J.J. Redick, Elgin Baylor, all these
actors.
Yes. And it's about the power struggle between the girlfriend and the wife. And I'm telling you, look it up in the break.
Stiviano.
It looks next Tuesday, June 4th. Two weeks from now. Sorry. June
2 weeks
4th.
from now?
June 4th it's going to be on. I'm telling you, the trailer looks absolutely incredible.
And they're going to have to go back in the past because he was like a slumlord, and they're going to have to go back in the past with him.
Yes.
They touched on him in the Winning Time show that they talked about him.
I'm just going to flip the trailer around on mute for you of just like how incredible this looks.
Oh, man.
I want to say it's Ramona Shelbourne is one of the people that is behind the scenes for this
one.
I'm
sure she is.
She
knows the whole story. She's talked to the wife.
So I think she's one of the producers or the directors on it.
She's not an apologist for the wife because the wife was part of all the really bad behavior, especially in real estate.
Yeah.
But that she'll tell all the stories about how he would like walk sponsors into the locker room and talk about the beautiful black bodies in his locker room. Like the weird stuff that was going on.
Exactly. And like there's really good clips of the the girlfriend who's like, I follow all the players on Instagram, but none of them follow me back. And it's like, wonder why.
Yeah.
Because you're with the owner, pal. There's really, I'm telling you, look up the trailer.
All right, I'll watch that.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, you're watching that. Like, I knew right away you were watching that one. So.
Up next, Eric Flack strikes with a RFK is there's no money for it. So we'll talk about that next. Bram Watch the Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. Here's the latest on RFK. Let me see.
Don't sound so enthused over there.
Because this is why I started harping on this years ago, and then when it ramped up again with new ownership months ago, when Muriel started rolling out the red carpet and some of the DC council members were going, come home, come home, come home. Okay, can you just roll out the red carpet and open the door instead of, I don't know, make people jump over alligators in a moat and get chased by wolves, because that's how it works to get this land back. Like, there's no easy route to it.
It's American Ninja Warrior.
It's not Thanksgiving there.
It's Ninja Warrior.
Yes, it is. American Ninja Warrior. Josh Harris has to climb up some giant wall that nobody can climb up.
And then has to grab a bar
and
jump the bar over things.
If he doesn't ring that bell in 5 minutes, we get nothing.
We are here. You're going to circle.
We're here. We're somewhere on the one where he has to jump between slippery platforms with nothing to hang on to, and if you miss one, you go down.
I was going to go with the giant rolling pin ones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's what we're at right now.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like it's a little stressful. It's early, but
we're past the early one where you just have to climb a rope ladder and get over the top of a wall. We're past that. The
little angled jump throughs. Yeah.
No, we're in the windmill now. Right, that's where we are. That's where we are. And the crowd shots of, I don't know if he's going to make this one. That's where we're at on this.
I would love a Ninja Warrior RFK course before they
That
blow
would be
it
good.
up.
let's do it.
Like empty it all out.
Until the stadium falls on
like,
people?
Just like hollow it out. Just leave the outside up. And then just do a whole
Warrior?
entire, Don't hook it to anything on the actual stadium. It will fall apart.
You have to jump over the pool of raccoons. Don't fall.
That's right.
Like, you'll get rabies or worse.
Or worse.
All right. So here's this is why I never believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because at every turn, there's a problem. At every turn. Just when you get past something, there's something else. Everything's a yeah, but. There's no and like when they passed that bill through the House, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I was like, really? Oh, I don't know how you did that.
Right. Yeah.
We've been waiting for you to do that for, I don't know, 50 years. It's taking so long, guys.
Thanks for handling that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for doing that. Then we get to, eventually, the committee that listens to it. Not that I want to sit there and yell at government for, I don't know, wasting their time on other more important issues like election integrity or abortion rights or things like that. But
Supreme Court justices.
yeah, so, like, I'm not sitting there like going, this is the most pressing thing that America needs to address. But it has been kind of sitting, waiting for you guys to talk about it for a long time. And tick tock, and elections coming, guys.
The saddest part, I feel like not enough people talk about it, that it's like that stadium has sat there long enough that they're done with the current stadium.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, people should be more baffled by that than actually anything literally that's happening. The Commanders are done in Landover. And the stadium's not gone yet.
It's not gone yet.
I get it. United played there until when? 2016,
and the
17,
Nationals
18?
played there.
18, I think. But Nats have been out there since 2008.
Yes.
So United was there for a little bit, but guys, should have had that plan ready to go.
Yeah, this is a raccoon crack den now. That's what it is.
Raccoon crack den.
Yes. So, all right. So they take their good old sweet time to get around to talk about it. Mm-hmm. They finally get around to talking about it, which is preempted by a senator from Montana,
Danny Dane,
explaining that, well, we can't do anything with this if you don't do something about the logo that we forced you to get rid of. So, okay, let's call that a speed bump.
Sure, right.
And there's going to be a million of them.
Yeah.
Let's say that happens.
Your first speed bump is printing up T-shirts with the old logo that goes to charity. Not the biggest speed bump in the world.
I agree.
Okay,
This is
call it that.
Of the big asks, this is, I left the grocery store and I got a text saying, can you pick up one more thing? And you just go, oh, fine.
Right, yeah.
And I'll go back in and get it.
Right.
Okay,
exactly.
This isn't that, I don't think it's that big of a deal, unless the NFL thinks it's that big of a deal. Like, has anyone asked Raj what he thinks about bringing the logo back after the rigmarole they went through? Because the woke warriors are going to kill him when they do it. You know that, right?
Ooh, that's a good team name.
The woke warriors.
The Washington woke warriors.
The woke warriors.
The WWWs.
Can you have that logo and be the woke warriors? That's a really good question.
I don't think so. Don't think you can.
Answer me this. Can you be the woke warriors and have the famous iconic logo on the helmet?
No.
I think you might be able to. Why not? We're living in the upside down.
I just want the website to be www.www.com.
Yeah. www.www.com.
You'd have to do that read too.
It'd be amazing. I'd love to. 6 W's, 2 periods, 1 com. Let's go.
Oh, it's all the names. It's com.
Yeah. Commanders. Oh, it's all of them.
It's all the names. Come on.
I'm going to go buy that just tonight to have it. The Washington Woke Warriors. So anyway.
Sorry not to go on.
Touchdown Woke Warriors. Amazing.
That's funny.
That is funny. All right, so we are in that step, which I think we'll get out of. I don't know how.
Right.
The ownership's forced to satisfy the senator and the family and the tribe.
And if you believe my conspiracy theory, this is part of the plan.
Part of the plan, which is, and Florio's on your side going, why, I'm just asking questions over here. He's going full Andy Rooney. You ever wonder why feathers would show up on a W shirt of a head coach when he's not even wearing a shirt that the team gave him?
I thought you were doing full Pepe Sylvia over
that.
With the feathers and the W.
Right. There is no Janice. So, anyway, so we're in this spot. So we don't know where this is going to go because we haven't heard a resolution of it, but I have to think that
That one gets
something
figured out. Yeah.
something gets figured out. I put all faith in the ownership and Raj to figure that out on behalf of everybody who has a stakeholder in this, and hopefully whoever gets really mad about that thing showing up again gets over it, because it seems like we have no choice, and the senator's telling us to do it.
Yep.
So let's just say we get through that. No one's asked the rest of the committee, you're going to vote for this.
Right. Yep.
Okay?
Yep. Exactly.
That's next step.
That's the next one. Yeah.
Right. Because, so there could be another, oh, well, since you did that,
Right.
my constituents
We get into
from
a
blah, blah,
slippery
blah,
slope. Yeah.
you know, in my constituency in Oklahoma, there is a very famous high school team called the Redskins, and they have found it offensive that you got rid of the name Redskins. Watch. Like this only opened a can of worms. All right, let's hope it doesn't. Then what would be next? Next would be this committee, happy with whatever the outcome was, actually says, go ahead and vote on it.
Right.
Then Chuck Schumer has to take the thing up. We don't know if he will. We don't know if he won't. No one has said.
Right.
But let's just assume that he does. And they don't ask for something. Or it's not put on the rider of some bill nobody can vote for.
Yeah, right.
Like, all of a sudden, like, you can't vote for that. So hopefully, then it gets by them. Then it gets to Biden. Maybe he's awake to sign it. Maybe he isn't. I don't know. Maybe. So we're all of those steps from getting to Eric Flack's report, which preemptively says this. And this was
It's like we have
the second they gave Ted all that money. I went, well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I thought you guys were broke.
Well, and this is like everything you just named is the giant fuse to the dynamite
Yes.
to actually get to the stadium, actually getting to be done, and someone stepping on the fuse, going, don't even bother with any of this other stuff.
Here's how he starts his piece. Eric Flack, WUSA, has been following all this stadium stuff on all the jurisdictions for a while. We've had him on. He's done a very good job with it. It says this. For fans who want to see the Commanders return to the RFK site, D.C. getting control of the federal land is only the first hurdle. The district still has to figure out how to pay for the new stadium, and given current debt levels, that poses a challenge for leaders. That's an understatement, the way he put it. Historically, football stadiums have come with blah, 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 and he just names the ones that have recently come up, and it's in the low end, $775 million that the state of Florida has come around to give the Jacksonville Jaguars for what will be redoing the stadium that they're in now. But I don't know if you've seen the renderings. They look really cool. And the team has offered to pay like $600-something million.
Okay.
You know, but then to the Bears, who are getting $900 million from the state of Illinois, to Tennessee, who's getting $1.2 billion to get a new stadium for the Titans, to the $850 million for the Bills.
Then there's also teams like the Chiefs where they voted against it.
Correct. In Missouri they voted against it, and in Kansas they wouldn't even bring it up.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
So it's kind of left them stuck.
Right. And that's the most successful franchise in the NFL over the last 10 years.
They got the greatest player ever.
Yes.
And they win the Super Bowl.
They're
every
selling
year.
that owner kick rocks.
It's like a fluke when they lose a game.
Yes.
So right.
So I'm saying the climate's different everywhere.
Climate's different. Right. So Eric Flack goes on. How much would Washington Commanders owner Josh Harris need from the district to bring the city's most popular franchise back to town? Hopefully not as much as those other cities shelled out. According to data obtained by DC's chief financial officer, by 2030, the district is predicted to be more than $1.7 billion in debt, including the $520 million that the city just shelled out for renovations at Capital One Arena as part of a deal to keep the Wizards and Capitals from leaving Washington, D.C. That puts the district smack up against the city's limit on debt based on D.C. law. Essentially, the D.C. government is out of borrowing power. Even if they wanted to, they can't. By law, unless they can get the law to change.
Right.
Quote, there are a couple of other ways you have to look at this, said former D.C. City Council member Jack Evans, who spearheaded the deal to borrow $500 million to build Nats Park back in 2006. His consulting firm was one of two D.C. paid a total of $400,000 to study how D.C. could fund a new Commander Stadium. Evans said the study, which focused on successful stadium funding models locally and nationally, was completed in mid-March, but months later, the D.C. government hasn't released the results. So Evans said this, I would say the overall conclusion is that sports stadiums actually produce enormous revenue for the cities. You'll have economists say it never does anything, and in some cities, it doesn't. But Evans says D.C.'s different. Nationals Park, which revitalized Navy Yard, is paying off its debt faster than planned. Now, they did completely revitalize that entire area.
Sure. Right.
So it is different.
Yeah, but I talk about this all the time. Nats Park, whether you think wherever it ranks, it's fine as a ballpark. It's about the location. It's so convenient to get to that I'm sure they've gotten more and more people than they ever thought they would when they first built it.
Evans also points out there's so much that a domed football stadium could do for a jurisdiction.
He's
so
right. He's absolutely right.
It's going to go that way.
Yep.
Let's see. Evans said a potential alternative to taking out bonds to help pay for a new football stadium is to create a special taxing district around the site known as a tax incremental financing. A portion of that money would pay off the cost of DC's investment in the stadium over time while not counting against the cap that the city has on its bonds. Otherwise, DC would have to shift money from other planned capital projects to make room to take out bonds for a football stadium. In the statement, the Office of DC's chief financial officer told WUSA 9 the city's current debt figures are only a, quote, snapshot in time, and what the district can afford to borrow right now is not the same as what they might be able to borrow in a year or two. Mm-hmm. So they're telling him, we're doing this.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
We currently, by law, will not be able to do it the old-fashioned way.
Right.
We're going to have to figure out a way to do it. But like whenever a jurisdiction cries poor or a giant media company cries poor or a team cries poor, I always go, no, you're not.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You just have to figure out complicated ways to get to the right
Lift up those couch cushions.
Correct.
Shake out the guy next to you.
This story isn't as bad as the headline is. The headline suggests, well, even if they get it there, where are they going to get the money to do it? And they're all saying, we'll figure it out. Wink, wink, wink.
Right. Well, I've said this
and
too.
We'll see about that.
I've said this too. Remember when we first saw the ownership group for the Josh Harris group?
Yeah.
What is Josh Harris's major stake in the Commanders? Isn't it only like 14%?
Harris? No,
yeah.
I think it's higher than that. I'm pretty sure it's higher than that.
Okay, but even then, I think, what's it max? 20%?
I'd have to look.
It's not,
remember.
like, what I'm getting at is not high because they brought on so many people in that ownership group.
I have to look and see what his number is. I feel like it's higher than that, but I don't know offhand.
I mean, but what I'm getting at here is there were so many people in that ownership group that I remember thinking they're lining them up in case they need money to get a stadium.
Yeah.
That they're saying, yeah, okay, it's 30%. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's that, and that's the minimum. Sorry. So that's what it is. It's the minimum he could go through. But then I remember it incrementally went down for all the other guys. Like the next ones, like Rails and Ein and Johnson, they were only like 10 to 12%, something like that. Maybe even smaller.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is there are so many billionaires on board with this ownership group. I think they were lining themselves up just in case they had to pay for a new stadium, that there was enough money to go around with all of them that they could kind of figure it out. I
Yes.
also think so, too, with the NFL, that the NFL is not going to let this fall through. If there's an opportunity to get the stadium on that site, the NFL is going to actually figure out how to do it. And if that's the NFL stepping in and having to work out some kind of deal,
Yes.
Goodell's going to make it happen. Like, I think that's where the city's at, too. Guys, if we get control of this, you're not going to say no because we're out of money. You're going to figure it out, too.
I think so.
I think this is going to be a true team effort. The only thing is, this now does make Maryland and Virginia go, oh, you guys are out of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now our proposals are going to look really, really good.
Yes.
So,
Well, they're going to have to come to the table with the fully funded situation.
yes, correct.
And that's when the rubber will meet the road. What are
How
you
important
willing?
is it?
How important
This
is
is
it?
the question I always ask you.
Where is the emotional stock that is linked to the
Yes.
RFK
What
site
is it worth to you?
versus how much money you're going to get from these other two jurisdictions to get the team to either stay or move?
I've been asking this question for 3 years.
Virginia has been ridiculously quiet about the whole thing, and probably after what happened with Ted, I think that they're just kind of like, who's taking them seriously at this
Louise
point?
is like, try me.
Right, right. Louise is like, I'll knock you out too.
She's still smoking a cigar today.
Yeah.
Feet kicked up on her desk.
Ooh, you got Magic Johnson. I'm so scared. Yeah, like after that one, they're probably like, don't even bother.
We don't really want to deal with them.
Right. Like, what's up with, do I have to go meet with Louise now or
Louise
later?
is actually in Mr. Burns' office. Can hit a button and release the hounds.
One other thing. The NFL is looking for games in Australia starting in 2025 and 2026.
I knew when what's his name from the Eagles was down there for the draft pick.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of that.
Yes. Well, they
Are they playing preseason? No.
no,
They're
all
doing
these
something there, I thought.
they did something down there.
Or they did something.
They're doing, yeah.
Okay.
You know, they the rumor was like, now that they're moving in these different territories, teams are trying to vie to be the quote unquote team of
Right.
that region, which I don't know how you. This isn't a land grab. You can't like throw down your flag and say we own New Zealand. Like I don't. But whatever.
What's more American than that?
Right, I guess it sounds about
Nothing
right.
more American than that.
But let me just say this now. I would like to go there. So if we could make the Commanders go to one of those games in Australia, that'd be great. I'd really like that. I am once again very disappointed. We're not going anywhere. You guys are going to Germany, England, Brazil. We're not going to any of these places. We haven't gone anywhere in years.
This is the year
We're overdue. Send us somewhere,
This
please.
is the year to do it too with 9 home games.
Send us.
Yeah, this is the year.
Please send us. We have a Browns game here. We could have gone somewhere with that. You know it. We could have gone somewhere with the Browns game. You know it. We could have.
Jordan Mailata, who I was thinking of, is Australian. They did do a 12-day trade mission.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know. Who cares?
What do we get back?
Go Birds!
What do we get back? Oh, Go Birds meets the rugby people. Oh, I'd like to see that one, see that kind of throwdown.
Yeah, he was at the beach because that's when he announced the pick. They signed some guy too, I guess. Some guy last year, some offensive lineman, like another one
From down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're getting some of these Aussie rules football guys who are probably like, helmet. I don't need a helmet.
Yeah.
Like, you want to fight me bare knuckle?
21-year-old, 300-pound Aussie. His name is Lakin Vakahali.
Yeah. Watch.
Unit.
That guy's
6'5", 318.
He also has never worn a pad in a sanctioned event.
He never played a down of American football. That's what it
Right.
says here.
Right. He's probably wrestled. He's probably been in Aussie rules football. He's never worn an actual pad. So, like, they're going to tell him to put this on, and he's going to be like, I don't need that. Come at me.
Do you want to hear how he got signed?
Where'd they even find this guy?
His mom and dad were in Hawaii on a vacation, and a friend of the Eagles international scout, Chris Naoli, walked past my dad, saw how big he was, started talking to him, had a conversation, and my dad said, I've got some boys. So they started talking about him.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles found him.
Okay.
They just saw how big a dude was, and he said, I have kids.
I have kids.
And then that was one of the kids.
Oh, okay.
That must be nice. Get an NFL contract because your
Yes.
dad is big.
Yes. Your dad was big.
Hey, son, by the way, you're going to America. You're going to sign with the Eagles.
This guy's like the Bronny James of Australia. Let's just sign him.
So this guy's big enough to actually play in the league.
No kidding.
Difference there.